Well, hello friends. Welcome to Three Card Thursday. Thought I would do a little three card spread for us here, and also wanted to talk just a little bit about card spreads and sort of what they are, how to choose the right one. Vince Battisti, who's one of my favorite tarot readers and authors, has mentioned time and again how we obsess over the cards, especially when we're first learning the tarot. We are concerned about card meanings and the decks and everything in the world about the cards. And we're trying to memorize the meanings of cards, and we're trying to learn the meanings of cards. But we don't tend to talk about or obsess about the card spread as much. And the reason for this, he supposes, is that until you lay the cards down in a spread, it really doesn't exist. It's just blank spots on the table. And so wanted to talk just a little bit about that, about spreads and what they are and how to use them. So there are lots of traditional spreads. There's the horseshoe spread, there's the gypsy spread, there's the Celtic cross. And there are an endless number of other spreads nowadays that people have come up with. And you could put just about any number of cards or layout of cards on the table and assign meaning to the positions or questions to the positions and call that a card spread. Someone asked me, I was reading for a friend last evening, and they asked, I was suggesting if we got enough time, we might as well do a Celtic cross for the issues in question that she was kind of wanting to explore. And I said we could do that, or we could just do, a 3 or 4 card, reading real quick. And she said, well, which would be best? And I realized at that time that there's no easy answer to that question. It's like you could tell the same story in a short story or a novel or a couple paragraphs or a 3-minute pop song or a painting or a sketch or a cartoon. You can tell the same story in a lot of different ways, and card spreads are like that. You can do a quick spread that tells the same story as a really intricate spread like a Celtic cross or something like that. So which spread is going to work best? I think this is akin to when people begin to chant. They look for mantras for certain purposes. And there are mantras that supposedly are good for health and that are good for peace and that are good for removing obstacles and all of that sort of thing. But it's really what's within you that's important. It's not so much the external forms of things. So I like the idea of starting with simple spreads, especially when you're learning. 3 card or 4 card is plenty. Learn how a card placed in a position relates to the meaning of that position or creates meaning in that position. How cards juxtaposed against each other kind of interplay. And it's a good way to learn the cards. I learned the cards pulling just a single card every day for a long time before I ever started really messing too much with card spreads or anything. So that being said, we're going to do a quick 3-carder here. And we're going to call this Mind, Body, Spirit. Okay? So I've been shuffling as we have been talking here and before I went live. And we'll shuffle a little bit more and then we'll cut the cards. Okay. And again, I'm using the Smith-Waite deck here. So mind, we've got the 9 of Swords. That keeps popping up. Body, we've got the 6 of Cups. And Spirit, we have the Five of Pentacles. All right. I'm going to have a sip of coffee while I'm thinking about these for a moment. So, Nine of Swords over here. Nines are attainment or achievement or focus. And swords are the suit of the mind. This card in the Rider deck that we see here is the card of anxiety, the card of nightmares, the card of obsession. The person depicted, they're sitting up in bed. These swords are, hanging over them on the wall. We don't see the tips of the swords, which is interesting. They've got their head in their hands, obviously overwrought. I think of this card as that feeling that you get when you wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning and something that's going on in your life or some fear that you have overtakes you and you can't get it out of your mind and you can't get back to sleep. And then you're just laying awake, and the more you try to relax and put it out of your mind, the worse it gets. It's just fear, anxiety, just what am I going to do? That sort of feeling with this card. So since it landed in the position of mind, I'd say that maybe there's a lot of that going on now. Maybe there's a lot of anxiety for a lot of us, mental preoccupations and anxiety and focus that really isn't doing you any good. If you've had that experience that I just described where you wake up in the middle of the night with a fit of anxiety and you can't get back to sleep, usually, no matter how bad things are, and even if it's a legitimate concern or real thing that you're worried about and it's actually happening and you still haven't found the solution, somehow with the light of day, it usually doesn't seem to be quite as daunting. At least it doesn't for me when that happens. So, I don't know what's going on here. I feel for anyone who is experiencing this at the moment. Somebody close to me was experiencing this over the past 24 hours or so, a project that they were working on that was taking a lot of their time. They were worried about the outcome. And so that may be where this energy is coming from. The only counsel or advice I can give is if this is you, hang in there. People care about you. People love you. And even if you don't know it, even if you don't see where your help is going to come from, it will come. Just hang in there. And try not to grip so tightly to the negative states of mind, because those can definitely amplify then. Get out, take a walk, try to get your body moving, and maybe that will help with some of this. Okay, body. Six of Cups. This is the card of nostalgia and pleasant childhood memories and pleasant childhoods. We see these children here with cups with the flowers in them. It's a very idyllic setting. Looks like it's kind of out in the countryside somewhere, and yet there are these buildings in the background, so it's inhabited. Looks almost like the hermit character over here walking up towards the house. So there's a return going on there, a return to happier times. I would say in the realm of body, if we're looking at this card as having something to do with the physical world and with our bodies, maybe this is a cue to take some physical pleasure in the simple things. We got out for a walk with our little dog today for the first time in quite a while with the weather that we've been having here in in Illinois, just a bit south of Chicago. It's just been cold and lots of snow and that kind of stuff. And it finally pushed up around 40 degrees today, and some of the areas that we walk have started to the snow has started to melt a little bit so we could get around a little bit better in the neighborhood. And that felt really good, just to be out with my wife and our little dog, enjoying the fresh air, the bracing air, I guess, but not freezing to death as it's been lately. And so maybe this is a cue in this area of body to take some pleasure in that, or a simple meal. Maybe if you have a special meal that you loved as a child. For a lot of us here in the U.S., that seems to be grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup. Something along those lines, something hearty and pleasant and tasty that you remember from childhood. Maybe spend a little time with something like that. So I'd take my cue from that. I would love, as always, to hear what you think, what these cards mean to you, and if they prompt any ideas or any memories or thoughts or anything like that as well. But that's what these are showing up for me at this point. Okay, over here in the spiritual realm, we have the Five of Pentacles. Fives are the cards of change in fortune, change in luck, just change in general. And Pentacles are the cards of the physical, material, financial realm. So this card in the Smith-Waite deck depicts a couple of impoverished folks, one of them either injured or disabled, out in the cold, literally, trudging through the snow, and they're walking right by, presumably a church with the stained glass window here. And for the longest time when I saw this card, I thought, how sad is this? There's warmth and light right inside here, and yet they're, trudging on by as if that light wasn't there. And after a while, I began to think of it more as those of us who can have to share that light with people, and not just let them walk on by without noticing and without trying to do something to help. And that, to me, really is the point of spiritual pursuit, is how can we be kinder, more generous, more loving, more compassionate people who help each other out, help each other through our troubles. And so take that for what it's worth, but I would say in the realm of spirit, that's what that card says to me anyway, is let's get out and share the light. Let's not just sit in our nice cozy spots behind our pretty stained glass windows. Well, let's get out and welcome people in and feed them and get them some warmth and attend their physical needs. Neem Karoli Baba, one of my heroes, an Indian saint who was guru to an awful lot of folks who brought the Eastern perspective here to the United States, used to say, feed people first. Don't start with trying to get people to think about God or to pray or anything like that. Feed them first. And once they've been fed, then you can talk about religion. Then you can talk about the spiritual stuff. So I think that's a pretty good way to approach things. So once again, I'd love to hear what you think about these cards. If you've got questions about the tarot or thoughts, comments, anything like that, please get in touch. And I hope this finds you happy and healthy and well, and we'll see you soon.